Oh my. State regime media known as Fox News is in full collapse mode. In fact, one of its hosts actually collapsed live on air. More on that in a moment. But what they're doing right now on Fox, or what they were doing on Friday, is they're saying, you know, the economy is doing great right now, and we need to celebrate the fact that ships are no longer coming into the port. This is a big win, they say. This is the height of what propaganda is. It's not a good thing that ships are not coming into our ports and we're not getting supplies into the United States. Yet state regime media is injecting this lie into the MAGA mush of a brain, or whatever you want to call it, of their viewers. Watch Laura Ingraham celebrate the fact that port traffic has come to a standstill. Play this clip.
I'm calling this segment Good News Friday. The tariffs in Trump's plan to put pressure on China is working. Of course, the media is so all in for globalism that they report the good news as bad news.
We have a new measure of how President Trump's tariffs have impacted the flow of Chinese goods coming into the United States. New figures show the volume plummeted last month, plummeted big time.
Already we're seeing ships coming from China half empty, containers half empty.
Well, that's just what the president needed to happen. It was short-term inconvenience for long-term change in our trade and manufacturing posture. Is the press really so dug in on hating Trump that they can't see any wisdom in this strategy?
Next up, you have Laura Ingraham bringing on Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. And here, Ingraham and Lutnick are saying half-empty barges, that's the win. That's how you do the crazy Ivan. That's what they call it, crazy Ivan theory. If you act so crazy, that's how you make deals. What in the world are you talking about? Play this clip.
Well, I had a chance to see him today, and had an off-the-record conversation. But it's clear that he believes that the half-empty barges that are being reported as the worst thing ever, that's a sign this is working. That's exactly what he wanted to happen to put the squeeze on China before these talks. Am I missing something?
No, absolutely not. Look, we know that they rely on our consumer and our markets. And he wants to just make sure everybody knows, they know, and we know that it's time to make the right deal. It's time to start making the right deal. And you got to put cards on the table. And you know the president, he loves to do that. He loves to let everybody know how it's going. He speaks respectfully about Xi, but he knows that they need our markets. And then he sends his team in and says, let's de-escalate, but let's de-escalate with a view that we're going to make a good deal for America.
Okay, so then as this segment between Laura Ingraham and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick progresses, Lutnick says, well, actually, maybe we bring the tariffs against China to 34%. So Donald Trump posted this morning that he would think about removing the 145% tariffs and moving it to 80%. Okay, and then Lutnick says 34%. Here, play this clip.
Is there a strong chance that the current tariffs will be completely paused after this weekend's talks?
No chance. No chance. No way. No way.
Well, what will happen? Well, okay, so let's say they don't. Let's say they have a great meeting and maybe a general understanding that we're going to talk again. We want to make progress. But the 145 stay in place, or is it moved down to what we heard today?
No. They come down to a human level, right? To a level where we do business. There are significant tariffs. The president is going to keep significant tariffs on trade with China. That is his objective. That's his expectation. That should be everybody's expectation. But 145% is decoupling. Let's not do business with each other. Let's bring it down to a level that he studied and he knows, right? Where did we come out with on Liberation Day? 34% is where it came out on Liberation Day. That's the studied number that Donald Trump did then. He may put it up higher, but that's kind of the idea. 34%. Liberation Day, 20% for the fentanyl. If they stop doing the fentanyl, That'll come off, but we can't live with fentanyl ingredients coming to America. So I think that's the number that he published on Liberation Day, and that's the number you should look at. And somewhere around there, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, Donald Trump will make the deal with the Chinese to de-escalate, and then we'll go forward from there, making deals with everyone in the world. Then we'll sit down with China and try to work out the right deal for America with China.
Any sense of where the final talks would take place, Howard?
No. I mean, I think there's going to be dozens of talks with China, but de-escalation first, and then huge amounts of talks and huge amounts of details of what's the right thing for America, and Donald Trump owns it.
Okay, so do you even understand what he's saying? 34% plus a fentanyl percent. Like, they're just literally making up numbers. Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, writes, so it just went from 145% yesterday to 80% this morning to 34% tonight. What a bunch of clowns. America has become the laughing stock to the world, justifiably so. And just think about what China's thinking about America right now when we do stuff like that. How weakness looks. China's done nothing while Donald Trump's just, negotiating against himself. 80. How about 34? How about 10? How about 50? How about 75? He's just making up numbers. So then I want to show you this next clip. So actual collapsing taking place. Here, a Fox host, while on live TV, literally just falls over. And then the other host doesn't do anything about it. He just stands there because they're like robots. They have no empathy. As the lady collapses, he just stands there and watches her on the floor. Like, help her! Help her! Play this clip.
They put her as the border czar. She never went to the border. So this is about incompetency. It's not about ideology, or it's not about.
Oh my goodness! We're just going to get some help here for Cameron. Let me come back to Lydia while we get some help for Cameron here. Lydia, the. President, we're going to go to a break right here. We'll be right back.
Well, someone who wouldn't be able to help her is Dr. Oz, because when he was just on Fox, he said, your patriotic duty is you must be as healthy as you can. You get, I'm just thinking about all of the ridiculous things the Trump regime says. You get one pencil. You get one doll, little girl. It's your patriotic duty. You're going to work in factories that we're going to bring the low-paying jobs from China here to the U.S. And generationally, your family will work in that same factory screwing in iPhones. That's what you get, little girls. Here, play this clip.
That's 70% of the money that CMS spends. That's what Medicare, Medicaid, the exchanges, CHIP. 70% of the money we spend is on chronic illness. And we're not getting our money's worth. So for folks listening right now, it's your patriotic duty to be as healthy as you can, and it's our job to help you get there, make it easy to do the right things. At the same time, we've got to make wise decisions because we're stewards who have to protect the money for the population that Hubert Humphrey described.
More from this Howard Lutnick disastrous appearance. Here he talks about how the UK he acts like we've never had a trading relationship with the United Kingdom before. It's like they've opened up their markets for the first 30 years. We have a trading relationship with UK that Donald Trump destroyed. And by the way, Donald Trump's deal with the UK to lower the tariffs on the subclass of goods like Rolls Royces, Land Rovers, and Jaguars, that's pissing off the American car manufacturing industry because American manufacturers are being tariffed 25% from their Canada and Mexico shops. And now you're giving Jaguars, Rolls Royces, and Land Rovers these deals? Here, play this clip.
You heard what the New York Times reporter, commentator said, that, the UK deal, that was just low-hanging fruit, really.
Wow. I mean, can you imagine making up something more silly than that? I mean, the Biden administration didn't even talk to them. I mean, imagine they opened their market for the first time in 30 years for $5 billion in exports while paying us $6 billion a year in tariffs. Yeah, sure, Biden could have done that. One person in the whole world could have done that, and that's our President Donald Trump and his economic team.
But you see, all of this is just part of the revolving door that is the state regime media, Fox, Trump regime connection. That's why it's state regime media. So, for example, we all know that Jeanine Pirro has become Donald Trump's top law enforcement officer in D.C. She's now the interim United States attorney. But this was all an audition to be that, or the whole career of hers. This is, if you want to work for Trump, you have to be this performative, rage-baiting idiot. Here's Jeanine Pirro, who's now the top law enforcement officer in Washington, D.C., one of the biggest jobs in the entire DOJ. Shake my head. Play this clip.
If the devil called me and said he wanted to set up a meeting to give me opposition research on my opponent, I'd be on the first trolley to hell to get it.
You, Mr. Barr, are so deep in the swamp, you can't see beyond your fellow reptiles.
As for those liberal Hollywood leftists in need of a lobotomy, like Rosie O'Donnell, they are straight up communists.
I want Joe Biden to issue a travel alert to the world. None of you are coming here anymore. We're done with everybody. There is a cleansing needed in our FBI and Department of Justice. It needs to be cleansed of individuals who should not just be fired, but who need to be taken out in handcuffs.
But there was that moment where Jeanine Pirro, ever so often, they don't fully know what their talking points are. Or because there's a crisis, they remove the mask, right? Like here, when Jeanine Pirro, after January 6th, trashed the January 6th insurrectionists on air January 9th, saying there was no excuse for their criminal behavior and said they were responsible for the deaths that resulted. But of course, she then had to change her whole position. But I have the receipt still. Our incredible editorial team keeps these clips. Here, play this clip.
The Capitol. And stop looking for other people to blame, including those dirtbag terrorists, Antifa. To those of you who did this, you did it of your own will, and you will be held accountable. Take the veil of politics off. Be totally objective. Anyone watching this must condemn it. And in the end, what was the point? What did you get out of it? Was there even a plan when you got in there, besides looking like a bunch of freaks, breaking windows, carrying off a podium, sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk, leaving a love note with fingerprints behind, identifying yourselves with selfies, stealing, damaging property, trespassing, looting? 5 people are dead in your wake. A police officer, an Air Force veteran, not to mention countless injured, including a young police officer on video screaming as he's being crushed, blood coming out of his mouth. Did anyone stop to think that with this foolhardy effort to disrupt the congressional hearing, you have smeared 75 million of us because of what you did? Did anyone change their vote? No. You have tarnished all the good that's been done over the last 4 years because of this senseless lunacy.
You know, and finally, I think we always need like a palate cleanse when I show you those Fox clips. So I had California Governor Gavin Newsom on, and I interviewed him on Friday. And I asked him about what's going on with these Trump trade wars. And I think he just says it perfectly. At the time I spoke with him, Donald Trump had posted 80% on China. And then Governor Newsom predicted, what's it going to be tonight? It's going to be, are they going to go down lower? Who the hell knows? And sure enough, Nutlick went on and did that. Here's Gavin Newsom. Let's play it.
If you use their theory of the case, if you want to impose tariffs to bring back manufacturing, industrial policy back to the United States of America, they have to be predictable. You have to have stability. You have to send a signal to small business owners that this is here to stay. And that means you have to radically change the way you're doing business. But every few hours, every news cycle, there's another zig and zag. It's chaotic. There's no rhyme or reason. I'll give you a specific example. Just this morning, in anticipation of meeting with the Chinese counterparts in Geneva, he decided to negotiate against himself, the great negotiator, from 145% tariffs imposed on China. Now he says, well, maybe it should be 80%. Who knows what happens in the next few hours? And if you're someone that's buying goods from overseas, from China, how do you make a decision? Maybe you wait another week, maybe another month, and see if it gets down to 10% like it is in the UK. It's an absurd rollout, and it's profoundly impactful. He's wrecking the economy of the United States, and California, as the tentpole of the economy, is being impacted more than anybody else.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe and help us get to 5 million subscribers. Thank you so much for watching.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.